Hello, my name is Greg Massi, and this is episode number 41 of The Color of Air, a podcast about the musical journey. You could find us online at colorofairpodcast.com or all my musical projects at retconindustries.com. You can find us on Twitter at The Color of Air, Facebook, Color of Air Podcast, and if you want to email us, it's colorofairpodcast@gmail.com. Now, I'm realizing I should never promise anything, because I came out last Friday all guns a-blazing saying, hey, you know what? Let's do episodes every Friday. Yeah, this will be great. And here it is, Saturday, February 9th, and I still haven't gotten this episode out. Why? Because I got hit with a nasty, stupid cold, which, put me out of action, put me out of commission for a good chunk of this past week. So excuse me while I cough. Because I wanted to prove to you that I am sick. You can probably hear it in my voice too. Anyway, I decided that I wasn't going to let this cold get the better of me, and I was going to get this podcast out fashionably late on Saturday. So here we are. This interview on this episode is is with Yvette Young. I met Yvette at NAMM last year when I went. My friends in KO told me I should go say hi to her. She was a KO fan. And I don't really put much stock in people knowing who I am in relation to KO anymore, just because it's been so long since I've been in that band. But, when I introduced myself to her and she knew I played on Choirs of the Eye, she immediately was like, oh, I really love that record. No, so nice to meet you. She wanted to take a picture with me. It was awesome. Made me feel good and respected, which is something I don't always feel in regards to my music. Anyway, self-deprecation aside, but it was really nice to talk to her. She's a tremendous musician, incredible guitar player, good singer, great piano player, violin player. She's a multi-instrumentalist, and has a really, really tremendous story if you go investigate. I don't know how much we touch on it in my interview, but around the time that this interview was done, which was last year, almost a year ago to the day, actually, I had heard a podcast interview she was on where she had talked a little bit about the struggles that she had earlier in her life and how she came out of it, and how music basically helped to heal her and, help her regain her confidence and pursue this other musical life for herself. And, I found that to be very inspiring. And just seeing how far she's come since I actually did this interview is amazing. You can follow her on Instagram. She's got stuff out on Spotify. I think at this point, she had just finished recording a record or an EP with her band Covet, and she may have even talked about that she was going to be going in to record a solo piano EP during this interview. As you can tell, I didn't actually listen back to the interview before I recorded this intro, because that's the way I do things. But since this interview, her band Covet put out an EP called Effloresce, and she has put out a piano EP simply called Piano EP. And each of the records is great, and I highly recommend them. You can find them on Spotify and on Bandcamp. I forgot to mention, she's also a really amazing artist. She custom paints guitars for people, and makes these beautiful artistic designs. And she's just a really interesting, cool, talented person to talk to. So anyway, now on to the interview. But first, let me introduce you to her music. This is the first track on Covet's EP Effloresce, and this is called Shibuya.
podcast you just did,
Oh, cool.
which I really liked a lot. I also didn't want to like step on too many of those questions, and be like, oh, have you recycled things, you know? So I guess just see where it goes. Improv it.
It'd be funny. It'd be funny if I did this podcast and you asked me similar questions, but I gave completely different
Yeah.
answers, like the complete opposite.
Yeah. Is she telling the truth? I can't tell.
Yeah. So
Well,
people have to listen to like multiple podcasts and like to find out that I'm just like a huge liar.
yeah. That that could possibly be one of the most interesting kind of what am I looking for? Like art experiments.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean? Like like in conjunction with your music. So you have your music, but then you do these interviews and you give completely different answers to everybody, and it's like kind of a commentary, I guess, on something.
on how you can curate on social media, you can curate yourself to be whoever you want to be.
Exactly. Oh yeah, yeah. That's great. See, we
Yeah.
are yeah. That's going in the podcast, by the way.
Oh God. It's
Go-
just that's it. That's the only thing I say in this
yeah,
podcast.
yeah. It's over with now. I'm just gonna hit end, and that'll be it. No.
Oh man.
uh,
Well, yes, I'm happy to answer whatever questions you have left or whatever, and then just see what kind of tangents we go on.
yeah, yeah. Tangents are good. I like tangents a lot because that's just the way I work in my own daily life. So I don't I don't know. But yeah. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Um, so I guess I'll start off with so I met you at NAMM, and how did NAMM go for you?
NAM was it was very busy this year. I'd say it's probably one of my busiest years. And what's funny is, which with each successive year, I say that like, oh, this one's my busiest. Oh no, like this one's my busiest. But this time it was truly my busiest. I had like 3 or 4 demos every day, and then a show at night. So I didn't get to see anyone. Like, and the people I did see, it would be like a quick like, hi, bye.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like chaotic. Not to mention I was on New York, um, East Coast time zone,
Oh
so
yeah, yeah.
I was collapsing pretty early every day just because it's like very socially demanding and exhausting and just visually and I guess sonically overstimulating. And then like I had jet lag, so it
Yeah.
was like very difficult, but it was fun. Yeah, it was cool. I got a lot of gear that I really like. Got 2 pedals. I got a nice compressor pedal for
Ooh.
guitar. It's a Earthquaker Warden compressor, um, an optical compressor. And then I got this really cool echo delay um, pedal. It's called the Echo Sex. It's by Guru. It's
Hmm.
really nice. So I always wanted those 2 pedals. So I consider this damn successful because I got the 2 pedals I wanted.
Yeah. See, I want to interject here because this is my first time ever at NAMM, so
Okay.
I didn't know what was going on
Oh
at
yeah, it's a
first,
lot.
and I guess in my head I didn't really anticipate. I didn't think of it so much as, oh, this is a place where you can go to buy stuff. It's more that you go to see stuff and try stuff out.
Oh
And
yeah.
I
Oh,
figured like,
that's
was that?
accurate. It's very accurate. It
Yeah.
is where you go try out new gear and stuff.
Because I kind of figured that the main buying and selling would be the big name distributors, trying to strike deals with the different people. And
Yeah.
so I remember when I first walked into the um, Ernie Ball booth, and I was just like, wow, they just have packs of strings here that they're giving away.
Yeah.
and,
Um,
and I almost started putting a bunch of them in my bag, and I was like, wait a minute, wait, I think I have to buy these.
oh, yeah. Sometimes they'll give you like I had this Clear Tone gave me a bunch of strings once. So if you're an artist, a lot of people don't know this, but Sunday is the day that everyone's trying to get rid of stock and inventory. So a lot of these companies, especially companies that travel overseas, like want to get rid of their stuff. So they'll sell it to you at
Oh,
really ridiculous prices. Like yeah, like half, less than half.
oh,
Uh,
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you have to do some haggling. I did some negotiating. I like talked about how if you're an artist, and especially if you have like a lot of like presence on social media or something, you can like kind of you have to do it delicately, not like a I'm big on the internet, give me free shit. Like you can't do that, but
Right.
you talk about like what you do as a career, like talk about your band or whatever, and like what your interests are, and then like sometimes they did. What I did was I just flat out, very candidly, I was like, "Do you do artist rates?" And then they gave me pedals for artist rates.
Oh, that's awesome. See,
Yeah,
pro tip with Yvette Young right there.
yeah. Just be frank and be like polite and just ask, hey, is there any way you could hook um, a product up for an artist, and then just be like, yeah, I'll totally post about it and stuff like that. And then of
Okay.
course you have to follow through, but
Yeah.
like etiquette.
Well, so that leads me into another kind of question I had on the whole NAMM experience was so now for all the demos that you did, are those are you an endorser of those things, or is it just people come up to you and ask you, hey, could you try out my stuff for a demo or
Yeah, I'm definitely endorsed by all these companies. They
oh, okay,
usually
cool.
um, some artists they pay um, to demo. I get paid by one of the companies. Actually, this year too, because one of my demos took the form of a show,
Okay.
like a showcase. So yeah, I guess it's just companies. Part of when you reach your endorsement with a company, it's kind of like, oh, if you're close enough to go to NAMM, it's a little bit expected of you to go demo for them.
Okay.
It's an honor, but also playing at NAMM is like horrible.
Yeah.
It's it's like the equivalent of like a shitty acoustic bar show.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking over you and screaming over you, and you're like trying to do your thing, but it's futile because nobody's listening. But
Yeah.
people are just excited to see you there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's that was kind of the experience. I think I tried to explain it to somebody that it was kind of like when you go into a guitar center on
Yeah.
like a Saturday and there's 20 guys like plugged in all at once playing, except just a little bit quieter.
Yeah, and they're all like shredding. Like not
Yeah.
only are they playing, but they're like all shredding. So it's just note,
Yeah.
note, note, a lot of notes.
Well, I think that's kind of why I appreciated seeing your demos because I felt like, you were doing something a little bit different than the other ones. Like
Yeah.
because I felt like I would walk by a pedal company or I'd walk by an amp company or a guitar and then I'd be hearing the same kind of stock blues licks that, granted I use them too when I'm trying out gear, so I can't really I can't really say anything, but um yeah, I kind of noticed that. It was just like, I'm hearing the same thing over and over. It's kind of like being at a metal festival and all it is death metal bands. It's like it
Yeah.
eventually kind of gets on your ears a little bit.
Yeah, it's very exhausting. I'm someone who's very sensitive to noise and like visual stimuli as well. So for me, it's like I can't be in there too long.
Oh
It
wow,
is
yeah.
exciting. The first time you go, like it's like a big playground.
Yes.
Um, awesome networking opportunity. Like I ran into the dudes from Dragon Force. It was kind of funny. Um, yeah, it's it's just very random. Nobody was even talking to them. Like they just walked by me, and it was like, holy crap, that's Herman Lee.
Yeah. Oh, I
Um,
saw I saw him walking around too. Yeah, I didn't think to say anything to him because I'm super shy, but
oh, see, I made it a point to say something to them, especially Herman, because I do this thing at NAMM where every year I go into the Hilton lobby where everyone's really drunk. Like it's
Mhm.
like a bunch of drunk dudes. And if they try to talk to me and ask me why I'm at NAMM, I tell them that it's because my dad is at NAMM. And then I like kind of allude to how my dad's in a big band. And then it kind of comes out that my dad's Herman Lee. Like how far I can take this lie. It's really funny. I've done it twice so far.
Well, you bring up another good point because I found because yes, I wanted to go for the whole networking thing. I'm terrible at networking. I mean,
Me too.
I'm just terrible at it. So the first day I didn't talk to anybody except for people that I knew from Boston who happened to be there too. And so I was like really really bad. but the next day, I made sure, like, even though my feet hurt like crazy from the day before. I just like made sure to talk to people who make gear I use and stuff like that. But I also kind of found that, with so much going on, like it's hard to really, like you said, like it's hard to really connect or talk to somebody really because you're probably the, 100th person they've talked to that day,
Yeah.
especially the gear people, So, but it was funny because the charging station wasn't working on Saturday. Sorry, on Friday. And so I went to the Hilton and I was hanging out near the Starbucks charging my phone. And just from sitting there waiting for my phone to charge, I like people would come by and charge their phone and then be like, "Hey, so what do you do?"
Oh
And
yeah.
so I had these random conversations with, people who are much more successful than I am.
It's it's funny. It's like you never know who you're gonna meet. And yeah, certainly networking is a skill set of its own. I'm not very good at it, but I'm like kind of shy as well. But if someone approaches me, I'll happily talk and like be really friendly. But I just don't like coming across as like schmoozy. Like I don't want to be
Right.
like so like yeah, I'm Hollywood's next big thing, and you should just invest all your money in me. Like I
Yeah.
hate that. It's gross to me, and I'd never want to become that person. But it's like I feel like what I've learned doing this whole thing is like it's like a weird compromise where if you don't speak up, like it's I mean, your art should speak for itself at the end of the day. Like if you're good enough, then yeah. But also social grace takes you a long way too.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
and I think you made a good point with, not being wanting to come off as schmoozy or anything like that. Because I think I kind of fall into I know I can admit that will fall into that trap of, oh, who should I be talking to? That kind of a thing. And I think by the time I got to the Hilton, I kind of made this resolution. I said, well, no, what you shouldn't be approaching these conversations as, because I find that like when you're at NAMM, that everyone kind of looks at your badge before they actually look at you, because they're
Yeah.
they're looking to see who you are and if you can do something for them, probably. And
Yeah. Social experiment would be if you just made your badge say whatever you wanted it to say and see
oh
if
yeah,
people play.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Uh, my badge says Gene Simmons, giving
Yeah.
free shit. But
Yeah.
so I know I consciously had to say, look, you're in this new experience, and you shouldn't be. Not that I was really trying to schmooze people, but I was like, everybody's got their own kind of unique experience. Everybody's there for their own reasons. Everybody's, whatever. Everybody's got a story to tell, basically. So I just kind of said, I'm going to approach any conversation, just be open to whatever conversation, comes my way. And, so I had a couple cool conversations that way. And so now I know what to do for next year.
Yeah. I say like it's like something that you practice, just getting to talk to people and stuff. Um, yeah, definitely being social and being like kind of extroverted didn't come to me naturally. I feel like I learned it just like touring and stuff and having
Yeah.
to be in situations where I have to talk about business. Ugh, I hate talking about money. I hate talking about business.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's the
Same
worst.
here. Yeah, same
I
here.
hate, yeah, and I hate turning people down. Like to me, that's like cringy. Like I can't do it. It's so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling well.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm also like young, so probably I'll get jaded and better at it when I'm like a lot older. It'll be like,
um,
I don't know.
I don't know. I think I've really tried to as I've gotten older, I've tried to. There are times when I find myself getting cynical. It just you can't help it. It's just because if you've seen things happen over and over again with different things, it's hard not to be cynical about certain things. But at the same time, I'm in this new kind of era. Sorry, I shouldn't say era, but this new kind of vibe with what I do, and so I feel like pretty excited and more artistically interested in things, or creatively stimulated. So like it feels very new to me, even though I've been playing guitar for 25 years. So I find that kind of help trumps the cynicism a little bit. So it's hard though. It's so easy to become cynical.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm definitely a little bit cynical. I feel like you have to. Being cynical is like a weird like you protect yourself that way because
Yeah.
then I came into this everything like really naive and just like super trusting and optimistic about everything. But then like you learn some like figuratively speaking street smarts
Hmm.
from doing everything. So I think sometimes being cynical is like good because you prevent yourself from getting duped or getting manipulated or used, I
True.
guess.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's very good. A good point too. Yeah. You have to. Sometimes you have to. I did appreciate though. I will say I did appreciate that because I kind of felt like a nobody at NAMM, really. So it did make me feel kind of nice when I introduced myself to you, and you're like, "Oh my God, I love Kev," even though I haven't been in the band for 12 years or whatever.
You
It-
shouldn't feel like that. I feel like everyone's like, you know what? Everyone's a somebody and thus we're all nobodies.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think ultimately none of this matters because we're all gonna die anyway.
oh,
Who cares?
we're going
Everything,
nihilistic now.
everything we do is gonna be forgotten. So we're all the same. We're all just sacks of flesh waiting to die. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Sorry.
Uh,
Is
well,
this good for the podcast?
yeah. Yeah, well.
Can the title be "Sacks of Flesh Waiting to Die"?
Yes. Yes, I can. Usually I'll just put the person's name, but I can put that on there. I think that's
Okay.
okay. I can change it. I'll make that. Um,
Thank you.
well, this is great. This is um so all right, so I know I feel like we're talking a lot about like this industry stuff, the NAMM stuff, which, you know, 90% of the people who listen to this podcast probably could give don't care about.
Well, it's like the crash course.
um, aside from, the random celebrity sightings you see, because I know I had a few too, because I saw the dude from the Misfits, and I saw Geezer Butler. Well, I walked by him, and I felt like an idiot because he was, doing a signing, and I thought it was him, but I didn't know. So I asked somebody, I'm like, "Hey, who are you guys waiting for?" And the guy's like, Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath."
Oh my God.
I'm like, "Okay, yeah." That's what I thought.
Another funny social experiment at NAMM is like just start a line for nothing. Just like get a bunch of friends and line up, and then people will join that line.
Oh,
Like
really?
and they won't even know like who it's for, but then people will just get in line.
Oh my God.
It's really funny.
Oh
Like I've
man.
seen.
You're just giving me a whole bunch of new ideas for next year. I gotta
Yeah,
come up with a crazy backstory for drunk people in the Hilton. Start lines.
yeah. You should do like a NAMM prank YouTube channel or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, I'm bringing my camera next year. I think that's
Oh
I
heck
think
yeah.
that I think that's definite. Um
You know what's funny? You were actually a celebrity sighting for me.
oh well, oh, thank you.
Yeah, because I love Fires of the Eye. Like I now have it on vinyl. It changed my life really. I never heard anything like that when I first heard it. And it's so cool to me that you played keys on that. Like that's amazing.
Oh, guitar.
I'm sorry, not oh shit. Did I say keys?
Oh yeah.
I
It's okay.
thought who played keys?
That's Taryn.
Okay, I'm
Taryn did
sorry.
the
The whole time I thought okay, well guitar.
yeah. It's okay.
Doesn't matter. All the instruments contributed like amazing things.
You're like, "Oh wait, you were the guitar player?"
No, okay, even more respect because I play guitar. This
Yeah,
is
I
really
know.
fun. Yeah. But yeah, point is you contributed to that album, and I love that album.
Well, thank
So
you.
yeah,
I
it was really
appreciate that.
cool.
I
Like,
appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely. You saw how excited I got. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. Well, I was glad that I don't know who was running the KO dot account that day. I don't know. It's either Toby or Ron usually, but I assume it's Ron. But yeah, they were the ones who kind of tagged me in a post on Instagram. Or like, "Hey, make sure you check her out." And I was like, "Oh, cool, something to do."
it was probably Toby because I saw him the day before I went and bought like a shit ton of merch off him. So like, yeah. And then I told him I was going to NAMM. So.
Oh, okay. See, I'm a little jealous because you've gotten your Choirs of the Eye vinyl. I haven't gotten mine yet.
Oh well, I actually bought two. So.
It'll be in the mail any day now.
I'm sure. I think he just shipped them off.
Yeah,
So.
I know. I know. I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna see them. At least Toby and Ron. I'm gonna see them next week. Because they're touring with Merker again.
Oh yeah,
And
Merker.
so they're doing like a decibel tour with it's Enslaved, Merker, Wolves in the Throne Room, and so they're doing the backup stuff for them. So I can just guilt trip them next weekend if I haven't gotten it by
Perfect. Be
then.
aggressive. That's the way to go. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah. Well, yeah. I've known them long enough that I can give them shit about that.
How did you guys all meet? Sorry, this is turning into your podcast, like
Oh,
me
that's
doing a
okay.
podcast.
Well, Toby and I went to high school together.
That's
So,
crazy. Wow. High
yeah.
school friends.
Yeah, high school, and it was just kind of one of those things that you always hear about. Like, um, I knew I played guitar, um, and he wanted to start playing bass, and so we kind of were into some of the same stuff. So we just talked and hung out, and um, and then he kind of picked up bass, picked up guitars, picked up keyboards because he can play like everything. and
Yeah.
uh, and so yeah, it was just we were just friends and we would hang out all the time, and that just eventually led to, hey, let's work on stuff together, and it was funny, we all had kind of like our own little projects that we would record on our tape recorders,
Uh-huh.
because it was before we even had a 4 track, and it's primitive. Uh, and so we all just kind of would make little tapes and then play them for each other, and then
So hip.
yeah, exactly, and then and honestly, I didn't think we were ever gonna really do anything together musically after high school. I just kind of didn't see, for whatever reason. I don't think either of us thought that. But then the summer before, so '96, um, is when he made the first kind of official Maudlin of the Well song, and so and then it just kind of spiraled from there, and then it was just Maudlin of the Well, and then we started KO Dot in 2003, and
How crazy.
et
I
cetera, et
was
cetera.
like, wow.
Yeah,
Well,
and
I'm really,
sorry.
I'm really glad that you guys started that band.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, and the nice thing too is that, like, if I always have a stockpile of really embarrassing photos of him. When we were
Really.
like when we were like teenagers, and awkward teenage music stuff. So I feel like if he ever lets his head get too big, I'll just take him down a notch. Like, hey, don't forget this.
Oh man, I'm pretty sure I've got a stockpile of really embarrassing photos of myself as well, but
Yeah,
only my parents have access to it.
yeah,
So.
yeah, exactly. We all have access to it. I mean, sorry, we all have the. Sorry, that came out wrong. So we all have access to your embarrassing photos. Your parents sent them around to everybody. Sorry.
Yeah, they're on a public Dropbox
Yeah,
account.
yeah. No, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I look at some of these old photos and I cringe so bad.
Like, is it just like what you're wearing or something, or?
It's what you're wearing. If you find, like, for me, I found like old journals and
Oh
just the,
God, those are the worst.
yeah, yeah. Just because like you were a certain way back then, and you're just like, ugh, grow up.
Yeah, I used to write like weird, like emo, depressing lyrics in my journal. It'd be like about being shackled to change and like wanting someone to break the chains. It's just very cringy.
I think we all wrote something like that at some point in high school. I
The
think,
worst is if you ever had like a Zanga or like some kind of MySpace where you can
yeah,
write your posts.
yeah. There was Well, so there's a few places. There is a live journal out there that I have, but I haven't accessed it in probably 15 years. So I'm assuming it's still out there if I could remember the password.
Oh man.
Hopefully, no one will ever stumble upon that. But also, we had done like a modeling of the well. We made a message board back in 2002, and so it's still out there. It's the KO dot board now, but we all used to be super active on it at the time. So I'm sure there's some embarrassing posts I made, you know, back then. But whatever, it happens.
Mine is DeviantArt. I used to have. Actually, I shouldn't say this because people are gonna look it up. Yeah. Anyway, next question.
Yeah. Well, so one thing I wanted to talk about too, because I like I said too at the beginning, that you did a really kind of in-depth, um, very honest, interview on the Nebula podcast, which I totally suggest people listen to because in all seriousness, I really did. I found, I found your story and everything you went through to kind of get to where you are now really inspiring, about overcoming things and then finding that love for music again. That it was really really cool to me,
Thank you.
um and so I guess what I so one thing I wanted to ask about, so with your guitar playing style, um were you now do are you always using the tapping and the harmonic and sorry and the alternate tunings and such, or or is that just kind of how you decided to approach the guitar when you started playing it? Because I know you said you're self-taught on the guitar.
Yeah, I would always tune it to different things just for fun because I was like I didn't really learn by shapes or chords. Like I
Hmm.
kind of just I use my ear for everything. So like sometimes in standard I would get like bored, so I just change it. I'd start writing in the same shapes and stuff all the time, like just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And one way to completely force yourself to not rely on habit or comfort zone is to just like take yourself out of the comfort zone. So like just change your tuning and then you just end up finding a lot of cool possibilities that you um that I guess you can't really do in standard because of physical limitations
Oh yeah.
and just the economy of like I guess like how much your hand can stretch or like what you
Yeah.
can do with one finger. So I guess my style came out of like a need for sounding as full as possible as one player because with two-handed tapping you can do like polyphony and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, you can do some cool counterpoint stuff as well. So it came out of need for that and also just curiosity. I was like, I play piano. Why can't I just do it on guitar?
Yeah. Totally.
Um, and then having like open tuning, having the lower strings like in the key that you're playing is really nice because you can harmonize with yourself, like
Hmm.
um, by plucking the open string and it rings out. Or you can like fret certain intervals too. It just makes it a lot easier.
Oh yeah. 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 I know. I almost always have a guitar in some sort of alternate tuning lying around the house. Specifically, my acoustics are always in an alternate tuning.
Me too.
Uh,
I find that the coolest stuff comes out of acoustics when you put them in weird tunings.
Yeah, I agree. I find myself playing in standard again, mostly because I've got Floyd Rose bridges on some of my
Yes,
guitars.
that's
Um, yeah, well, for my doom metal band, I have to stay in standard the entire time. So,
yeah,
um, boo.
that's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I do have other guitars that I just write in all sorts of weird tunings, all times. Um, and So when you started playing guitar, I mean, was there any specific artist at that time, that you heard guitar-wise that kind of inspired you to kind of like pursue that or to go into that kind of style, or was it just more just the way you kind of want, I don't know, I guess instinctually wanted to approach the instrument?
I listened to a lot of this band called TTNG. They used to be called Tiny Guns, but now they go by TTNG.
Okay.
And then I listened to a lot of this band called Toe, and it's like super intricate finger style
Okay.
stuff. Um, Yeah, I like this band called Six Gallery back in the day as well. A lot of just like intricate stuff. And then I kind of just, what's funny is I don't really listen to these days. I just listen to like piano soundtrack stuff. So it's like complete different, completely different world. But I guess my style is like I'm an amalgamation of like everything I listen to. Like I like a lot of post rock. I like a lot of like that like tappy stuff, intricate finger style stuff. I love like post metal stuff like Pelican.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, and then I guess I love movie soundtrack composers like Olafur Arnolds and um, John Hopkins, Ryuichi Sakamoto. Yeah, all of this, like, it's like everything I like in one. That's what I try to do on my guitar.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. And I mean, I think, and I think I mentioned this to you in an email too, that I went and I listened to your acoustic EPs on Spotify. Um, sorry.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got a couple negative cents out of that from from Spotify. Uh but, but what I really loved, and or what really kind of I think, because I don't always listen to a lot of different kind of intricate folk finger style kind of things, but what really kind of got me with yours was like, um, it kind of almost reminded me, not necessarily stylistically, but vibe of Nick Drake. Do you listen to him at all?
I love Nick Drake.
Okay.
Um, I yeah, he's like I'm like very unfamiliar with a lot of the stuff. I'm like into a lot of new stuff, but Nick Drake was one of the first people from like before my time that I got into.
Oh,
Um,
cool. All right, cool.
what's that album? It's like Pink Moon, Pink
Yeah,
Moon.
Pink Moon. Yeah. Because so the reason why I bring him up is because what I got from yours is that you have these very intricate, um, acoustic arrangements, very beautiful, very well played, and then over the top of it, you have, I felt you had these kind of very cool um, lyrics, and I think that's kind of a hard thing to balance sometimes. And because I think there's a lot of like kind of the more intricate um, acoustic guitar players who just do purely instrumental, or you have the very folk singer or confessional, or intricate lyrics. But I felt like you kind of melted the two worlds pretty well, which is something that I found a lot with Nick Drake when I listened to him. So that was something that really appealed to me. So I just want to say that's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess like all those songs came out of me when I was like the first album is me when I was very depressed and like kind of not in a very good place emotionally and mentally. And I just wanted to write like songs to talk about it because I didn't really have anyone to talk about it too.
Okay.
So music was kind of like my way of just saying what I actually felt. Like a lot of that stuff is just like, the gist of it is like maybe death is nice or like,
Yeah.
like I want to run away. I want to just disappear. Um, yeah, and the second album is like I wrote the songs when I was a lot mentally healthier, and it's kind of like a more optimistic, healing kind of vibe going on from it. So, um, yeah, I guess like for me, the songs are always like I want them to be genuinely what I feel, and like I want them to be like a reflection of my state of mind at the time.
Yeah. 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 They're a cat or kind of a photograph, sort of.
Yeah,
A musical photograph of what of what the person is at that point, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
think taking a listen and listening to the lyrics.
yeah.
Lyrics are hard. I write instrumental music these days because I'm like, ah, I just keep on saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stick to music, like no lyrics, instrumental music.
It's funny you said that because I I've been thinking the same thing with myself. Because I have a band that's been on hiatus for a while, and I have almost an entire album written, or actually no, I'm sorry, I have an entire album written and like 60% recorded, but where I've been stuck on lyrics for about 6 years. And
Just
so
feel like you make up your own language.
yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking I need to be at this point. But I find myself more interested in the idea of just doing instrumental stuff because obviously guitar playing and being able to say the things you would say lyrically, I feel like it comes more naturally to me, even though it's maybe a little uh, vague to people. Because like if you say like, oh well, I'm just communicating with my instrument, like the melodies I write, that's me kind of saying how I feel, and it's like the strings don't lie ever. At least that's something I'm realizing as I get older. That no matter what frame of mind I am, however I'm playing, that is a representation of myself. I don't know if that's something you feel as well too, now that you're kind of focusing more on try number two.
Awesome.
Yeah, everything seems to be working now. All right,
Cool.
cool. All right, so where we left off was, and I hate making you repeat yourself again, but you were talking about music as your kind of your visual music style, so to speak.
Yeah, I guess I was saying how to me instrumental music can be like abstract art where you don't give away too much information to the listener. Like sometimes lyrics can be very literal.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's also, like some people don't want to work too hard for their music. They just want to like be told what it's about and just like relate, they want music they can relate to. For me, I kind of like what kind of got piqued my interest over time was how can I use instrumental music to convey like what I'm feeling without being very literal and being like using words. So whenever I write something, I usually have like a certain feeling or a place or a narrative in mind, and I kind of channel that when I'm writing. And to me, my work is successful when I'm able to convey that to the listener and they feel and see the same thing when they hear the piece of music. And it's not always the same. Like everyone, I think the beauty of instrumental music and abstract art is people can like project whatever they want onto it. And yeah, I think it makes it relatable in a different way. Like it's more empathetic, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely feel that way, and well, and now this is going to lead me into another thing.
No worries.
A segue. So, because you studied visual art, correct? That was what you went to school for?
Yeah, went to UCLA for fine arts
Okay. And
and
also,
teaching.
and also you do, I've seen you hand paint your own guitars and everything, correct?
Yeah, I paint guitars for people as like a side gig to make money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna say that, I mean, the artwork is beautiful, and so I think what that, to me, yeah, I mean, that would make sense to me that you're kind of coming from a more artistic perspective, or a more, I guess, I don't want to say visual, but you know what I mean, like you're where that not kind of like not everything that you're feeling is easily described in words, and so you can sometimes draw shapes, or I mean even like painting, if you paint a flower, obviously it means it's a flower. But I mean it can have other meanings, but I mean like you're almost, but I see what you mean with the music, and I hope I'm making sense here, but I see what you mean with the music, where you're kind of just leaving it open to interpretation or abstract.
To me, like just visual art and like music are very, very tied together. Like
Yeah.
I think both conjure up each other. And maybe it's like maybe an element of like synesthesia or something, but like I think both kind of like aid in the interpretation of the other.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, cool. And I forget where I was originally going with that question when I first asked it to you 10 minutes ago.
No worries.
Um, well, one other thing I did want to ask you about because I find this kind of fascinating too, because I've never felt myself to be very successful with social media endeavors. So, what I noticed, and not just you, but I noticed like other people who have kind of built up this following for themselves mainly through the stuff that they post. Is that how you kind of got started in getting your music out there? Was just kind of throwing up videos on YouTube? Is that how you started?
Yeah, I originally did it because I was like, oh, how fun. I learned how to play guitar. Cool. I'm gonna like share the stuff I'm working on with my friends. And then it kind of just blew up one day. Like I remember I did one, okay, so I was posting videos and just like kind of slowly, building people like watching my videos, and I was always like, whoa, that's crazy. Like people care. And then one of my videos went like viral, and then a bunch of guitar companies hit me up. So that's how my whole career got started,
Really?
essentially.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Strandberg, that extended range headless guitar company that I work with from Sweden. Um, they were the first ones to kind of reach out and ask me to do a video for them, and then the rest is history. So,
Wow.
yeah, one video can change your life.
And so it was very much kind of a natural, organic thing. It wasn't like you were out. I mean, were you like promoting the website or the videos or whatever, or just kind of people just kind of stumbled upon them?
Nope, I was very organic about it, and I still believe that you can be forced and you can be like, kind of strategic with how you do it, but nothing beats like organic reach because that's like, I don't know. This is just my opinion on it. I think like social media is a double-edged sword because on one hand you can be your own brand and you can like promote yourself and it's like great, but I also think it's very easy to lose sight of like why you do your art in the first place. Like, are you doing it for approval? Are you doing it for people like, sharing your video? Are you doing it for the numbers? Or are
Hmm.
you doing it because you believe in your art? And I think like if it's because you believe in your art, like that goes a lot farther than you doing something, you kind of pandering and catering to like what you think people want to see. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's better to have like something organic than it is to like force something.
Okay.
Um, but then again, I realized my viewpoint is probably very biased because I paved my career by just doing things that are organic. And never once did anything for anyone else. And never once like had like an algorithm that I like worked with for like
Right,
reach.
right.
Yeah, I just post when I want to post and I just share stuff that I genuinely find interesting and I genuinely like. And I think I got lucky because um, that got noticed somehow. I feel
Yeah.
very lucky.
Well,
um,
well,
but yeah,
how long ago did you start with the videos? Like five
I think
years?
4 years, 3 or 4 years, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
So I think the landscape has also changed a lot because I think so many people. There's been just I was actually talking to one guy I did talk to at NAMM was that guy Rob Scallion,
Oh
who's
yeah, he's like a YouTube guy.
yeah, and because I was curious about this, and he was saying yeah, he's like yeah, we've just been doing this for 10 years or whatever, and he's just like yeah, it's just at the time it just was unheard of, so it was a little bit. He said it was easier to kind of make your living or make your career off of that. And he said, but now, it's blown up and now everybody's got a video and
Yeah, it's kind of the whole industry becomes oversaturated, just like the music industry.
yeah, yeah. And so, so yeah, I think, because I don't know if you would agree with this, but I think something I've talked about being jaded and cynical again. One thing that I've noticed is in the advent of because our first Maud and Llewellyn demos. I mean, we used to put them out on real audio player, because
Whoa.
because we couldn't because no one's computers could handle MP3s at that point. and it was, I've seen, all the different changes. Napster. I participated in Napster when it first came out.
It was
um,
like LimeWire, SoulSeek, like a bunch.
LimeWire, yes. Oh, my so much of my music came from LimeWire when I was broke. Um,
Me too.
yeah.
Except you never know when it's porn. Like sometimes like it's not music, it's porn. Like
Well, so I luckily I didn't end up I didn't have too many porn mishaps with LimeWire, but one thing that I actually found very interesting about LimeWire was um, you, I will agree that you never knew exactly what you were going to get, and so
yeah,
you could never tell if it was going to be the same kind of sound quality, um, or something like that. And what it reminded me of, honestly, it made me very. I didn't mind it because it reminded me of when I was in high school, and I would make mixtapes for myself to play in the car, and like you would accidentally tape over something, or there'd be like this weird there's like these little like hiccups in the tape. Like nothing was ever super perfect when you were kind of dubbing from one thing to the other. And so I kind of, it reminded me of just like you're just listening to a bunch of people's mixtapes. And, it can be fun.
yeah, it was cool. I feel like also it's interesting because it's like it encouraged like not listening to full albums. It was like you got to listen to sub track by track. So
Yes.
it was very, I don't know, disjointed, I think. So nowadays, I remember I used to be just, I would just listen to songs. I would never listen to a full album. And like nowadays, I just like, I download like a full album off Bandcamp or, I don't know, wherever I get my music. And it's like such a different experience.
Hmm.
Like, I think it's funny. People these days are more ADD when it comes to music. Like,
Yes.
it kind of like the format of releasing music has changed. Like people don't want full length albums anymore. I think a lot of music, especially pop, they want singles or they want like a short EP
Hmm.
because it's like the perfect amount of digestible material.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it just kind of reminds me of like how I was in high school. I was like, I'm just gonna listen to one song. So like I only know like one song by a band.
Well, you're very right. But I think I actually thought about this too, that the whole ADD and the song thing, I felt it was actually kind of a welcome experience too, because I kind of came from the experience of you know, uh, when we would get. I'm starting to sound like that old man, like
That
back in my day, albums albums are 40 minutes long and blah 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 blah, and like I come from kind of the prog rock mentality, which is that to me an ideal record as a cohesive unit is between like 40 and 50 minutes. Like to me that's kind of because that was kind of the limitations of the time of like vinyl and things like that. And then as CDs kind of became more prevalent and people realized you could put 80 minutes of music on a CD, it became this thing where bands were trying to fill 80 minutes on a CD, and so you would get like 20
filler.
minute 20 yeah 20 minutes of good music, 60 minutes of filler, and
Yeah.
it just got too bloated. So I kind of like that, we're kind of bringing it back down a little bit again, and I think it's kind of made people, and especially with the resurgence of vinyl, it's kind of made people, you know appreciate
Yeah.
a little bit more discretion in how many songs you put out at a time.
I'm all about that. Like for our my band's last release, I was like, okay, I don't want to do a full length album. I think people's attention span is not suited for that. I want to do an EP, and I don't want any filler. I want literally every song to be a banger. So I like, yeah, I wanted every song to be good and impactful and like intentional. Like
Yes.
it's not just there to take up space. It's there because it serves a purpose. Um, yeah, that was my goal. So I'm glad that like I guess it's more acceptable to put out short formats these days.
It
Not to
is.
mention like it makes me churn out music faster because I'm not just sitting on a body of work for a long time. I'm just like, all right, that's out. On to the next.
Yeah. Well, yeah. again, I go to the fact that I haven't put out an album since 2009 or 2012, and I'm like, yeah, I know what you mean. Sitting on bodies of work. I got
So,
plenty.
well, it's good. At least you have like a plethora of things that you want
Yeah.
to work on instead of lack of inspiration and
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly. Yeah. Oh, I'm never at a loss of inspiration. That's for sure.
And that
Um,
you are a lucky man because a lot of people are.
yeah. Lyrically, yes. Musically, no.
That's a
Um,
great problem to have. Too many ideas.
yeah, yeah. But I think, and again, weaving through different tangents. So yeah, so what I was kind of trying to say too is that so over the last, I'd say like 15 years, 16 years, at least the time that I've been releasing music with different bands, it's I feel like things have changed. They keep changing. So when the MP3 things came out, and then it kind of was like, okay, well, you could do this or you could do this, and then Radiohead did the thing where they're like, oh, why don't you just pay whatever you want for a record? And so everyone's like, yeah, that's really awesome, not realizing that that only really works for a band like Radiohead, where they can count on like 10,000 of their fans overpaying, and 3 million people, uh, doing for free. Whereas, for an independent band, that doesn't always work. And so I feel like there's like new things changing every time, and somebody will do something new or take some new avenue and then get super successful at it, and then everyone tries to copy that.
Yeah, so it's like constantly evolving. It's never a static thing. It's always fluid, which
Yeah.
and you have to learn how to adapt quickly, which is tiring.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm terrible at adapting, but I think I've gotten to the point where I don't really trust necessarily how I feel about a certain. So, for instance, if I see a certain band take a certain um, method of promoting themselves, there's a lot of times things that bands do will make me super cringe, and I'm like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Without naming names, because I don't want to throw them under the bus, but there is a local band here in Massachusetts who I felt like did these really kind of, I don't want to say shady because it wasn't necessarily shady, but it was just made me feel gross to watch the tactics they used to promote themselves. Um,
Like
and
kind of like desperate, almost like fanatic.
it's not exactly desperate, but so the lead singer is a cosplay person, and she makes her own outfits, and she likes to show off um, her assets.
Oh, okay. So that becomes like for me, it's like a yeah. I don't know. Like I have my thoughts on that kind of
Oh
promotion
yeah, I
as a
I
woman.
no, and I do too. Well, not as a woman, but I do too. Just I do too. Just because I've been in bands with women for forever. It's but so it's like I feel like there are certain ways people can handle it, and I felt like the way that she was promoting this band was just like, well, here's an Instagram post of me with a lot of cleavage, and and it's just like, okay, well, what does your music sound like? And and like they gave off this kind of symphonic metal vibe, so I was like, oh, cool, I like symphonic metal, that's pretty neat. And and then by the time they actually released something, they were so involved with their image. Not even just her, but the guitar player too. And they're so involved with their image that like they had even changed the style or sound to. She changed the way she sang from more classical style to more pop style, as
Uh,
almost to like make it sound more radio friendly. And then, and I think the kicker for me was when I saw the ad for their album, and it was a picture of the band. There was five of them, so there was two guys on one side of her, two guys on the other. She's in the center, totally focused, clear as day. And then they have the album cover on one side of her, covering up the faces of two of the guys, and then
oh.
and then the band logo on the other side, covering up the faces of the other two guys.
Oh my gosh. See, what I have to say about that kind of promotion is like, first of all, like, okay, people I have to be delicate with this because, like, it's okay to flaunt your sexuality or whatever. If you want to like dress scantily and like use that, like that's fine. But I think like my what I think works the best is when you go for something that's more long term because, inevitably looks will fade.
Hmm.
But it feels good to know that like your music is eternal. Like music isn't something that has like an age on it. Like if it's good music, it's good music. It's timeless. So if you depend too much on your looks, like that is not going to be very long term, is it? Like,
Yeah, no.
especially if it's what people like you for. Also, I think it's important. I don't know. Part of the reason I do what I do is because there's too many just I think in pop culture, women are kind of depicted as like using their sexuality to get attention or whatever. Like, everyone, there's like a certain stereotype that comes with being like a girl musician. I feel like people don't really take them seriously sometimes, or they think like, I don't know, it's hard to be respected, especially
Yeah.
like in the guitar world. For what I'm doing, it's really hard to be respected. It's easier to get noticed because you're a minority, but it's hard to get like actual respect. And I feel like if you choose to present yourself in a certain way, um, it's not bad per se. I'm not saying that it's like a bad thing to dress sexy or whatever, but I think it kind of supports people's stereotypes that like girls need to be like sexy to be successful in
Yes.
the music world. Um, yeah, it's like a double-edged sword kind of
Yeah.
where on one hand it's you can be hot and everyone will notice you, but like also like it's harder to be have your art respected, which is problematic. I'm not necessarily blaming the girl. It's like why is that stereotype there in this first place? Like it would be
Right.
nice if we could dress sexy and be respected, but I
Yes.
think for now I think I want to be I don't know. I want to be like a role model where it's like I don't have to do that and I still like have respect at the end of
Yeah.
the day. Maybe? Question mark.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, well, and that's the way it should be because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you said, it's the music that um, the music that lives on, and so and you certainly are very talented, super accomplished. So I think that's something that that will stand, that will last.
Think-
Um, oh yeah,
yeah, I think it's interesting because it's like that's like a form of I don't know, it's like a form of packaging music to make it more like sellable because
yeah,
people like it's like selling a lifestyle almost, like your brand. But at the end of the day, I would hope that music can just be about music and not
yes,
about what it looks like. I don't
yeah,
care like who's behind it. I don't care if it's a girl, if it's like a blind guy, if it's like a donkey. Like
yeah,
I don't care who made that music. If it's good music, it's good music.
yes, exactly. Yeah, very true, very true. Um, cool. Yeah. I think that's pretty much all the basic stuff I was gonna ask you about because that's the stuff that I find interesting is the modern music promotional machine.
Yeah. I hope
Um,
I answered coherently. Sometimes I feel like my thoughts are a bit scattered, but I like I like talking about it.
oh yeah. Well, no, yeah, that's awesome. And so I think one thing I didn't actually bring up. So you mentioned it before. I didn't really ask you about it. So now you have a band, Covet, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so you guys just recorded your music in New York. And when are you looking to get that out?
We our tentative timeline is around summer, so I'm hoping around summer we'll have our album out. We just signed a Triple Crown,
Okay.
so we basically are on their agenda.
Oh yeah, cool. And do you do much touring with that band? Or or do you kind of just mainly play local shows?
We've done a lot of tours. Been on three U.S. tours, full U.S. tours. Went on one UK tour, and
Oh
then
wow.
yeah, the UK tour is DIY. But for my solo stuff, I've been to the UK a lot, so that was how we were able to go. Um,
Cool.
yeah, I guess we have plans for Asia coming up.
Really? Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like crazy. Yeah, we're not like seasoned vets yet. Like we're not nowhere like a band that has like 50 years of experience or whatever. Oh, that's a lot of time. Sorry, like 30 years of experience. Yeah, but like we've been on a few like US tours. Um, yeah, it's it's cool. I like it. I like tour. We have one coming up of Tiny Moving Parts, just in a West Coast one for a
Oh,
week.
cool. Oh, cool. Well, next time you're on the East Coast, if you play in Massachusetts, let me know. I'll be more than
Yeah,
happy to
I'd
come.
I'd love to. We always play around Berkeley, so
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah, I'll let you know. I'll like guest you so you can come out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Um, well, I do want to say, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. This is really, really cool, super cool. And
Absolutely. I'm sorry that they suspended my account. They said my account was doing suspicious activity, so they suspended it. So I'm
well,
wondering what kind of activity. Like,
I know. Well, that's what I was gonna say. What have you been doing on your account there, huh?
I have
No,
no idea. But I'm
no.
glad I made a new account, so that
Yeah.
one's gonna just be a shady account that sends people penis enlargement emails.
Yeah. Um. Cool. Sorry.
On that note.
Yeah, on that note, well, yeah, well, thank you so much for the time, and keep doing all the cool stuff you're doing. I know based on uh, uh talking to you at the Thalia Capo booth, I'm buying a Thalia Capo now
Oh,
because
really? Awesome.
I got sold on it. I'm like, is it really worth it? And it's like, yeah, the way the guy described it, I was like, yeah, this probably actually will help me.
I really do like it. Like I've never had to retune after like I still have to on my like electric guitars, but on my acoustics, like I can go up and down and the intonation's perfect. So
Oh, that would be a dream. That's a dream for
yeah.
me. All
Well, I
right.
hope you enjoy it. Did you get a cool design?
Oh, I haven't bought it yet. I haven't decided on one yet. I was definitely gonna go for a cool design though. I think you have to. I was looking at one of like maybe the gold with the purple kind of a deal. Uh, 'Cause yeah, I mean, it's gotta look cool.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's anything we learned about music is it's gotta look cool.
Yeah. Image is everything. I mean,
Yeah.
come
Oh
on.
my God, that used to be my joke tagline, like on Instagram. Like image is everything. But then people like I realize sometimes people don't read into my sarcasm, so
Oh, yeah, 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 people have a hard time deciphering sarcasm on the internet, I've noticed.
I'm like mostly sarcastic. Like everything I write is kind of like tongue in cheek a little bit, but I feel like sometimes people take it literally. I'm just like, oh no.
I
Like,
know. Yeah, I hate having to explain myself.
yeah, like I answer. Facebook has this feature where you can answer like questions that are just like to teach people about yourself. They'll ask you a random question, and I said something like, name a career you'd be awful at, and then I was like musician, and then and that's obviously a joke, right? But
Yeah.
then I got so many messages from people like, "Hey, you should believe in yourself," because I was just like, no, no, no. I was like, "I'm sorry, this is a misunderstanding." Like, yeah,
Well, it all just kind of boils down to what we started the conversation on. It's all just sort of life is just an artistic experiment in
oh
fun.
yeah. I'm actually designed by robots from Korea. I'm not a real person. They programmed me to be good at guitar, and I'm just kidding.
Well, sorry, and one other thing I wanted to ask you about. So you also recorded an album of piano stuff too, correct?
Oh yeah. Um, I'm actually really excited for that. I love piano. Piano is my main instrument, actually. So I'm looking forward to that. It's 5 tracks, and it's just stuff I've written over the past year.
Oh, cool. And is that going to be a self-release?
Yeah, I'm gonna just do a DIY. I was actually gonna ask Toby where he got his vinyl printed because that vinyl is gorgeous. Like, holy
Oh,
shit. Oh yeah,
cool.
you wouldn't know because you didn't get it yet, huh?
I I've heard that it's gorgeous. I saw a grainy picture of it in an email, and I printed it out on my black and white printer to so
Oh
I could
yeah.
hope for it. No. Um, yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
yeah, I guess from word of mouth, it is beautiful, and
Okay, I'll
yeah, I'm
take your
planning on self-releasing. Hopefully, it's gonna be expensive, but I think it'll be worth it.
cool, cool. Well, I'll have to pick that up when it comes out too. So,
I'll just send you one because you made an impact on my life by recording
oh,
not keys, not keys, guitar on quiet.
guitar solos.
It's just pure like just 300 BPM note solos.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I ever got that high. My shredding went downhill pretty quickly once I hit my 30s. Um,
You'll have to let me know if you ever are in the area with your doom band. I like that.
sure. Yeah. I mean, I will. And what else am I doing? I mean, I'll send you links to stuff too, because I mean, I've got some music out there, and hopefully, I'll have more stuff out there this coming year. I mean, my whole goal this year, last year, my goal was to be more prolific, and the wrestling thing kind of helped accommodate that. But now that's kind of slowed down a bit. So I'm hoping to maybe get some more ideas out there, and I would love to even like do a tour on my own if I could get some kind of solo thing together. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'd love that.
We'll see.
I trust your taste and your judgment, and yeah. Oh, and send me those embarrassing pics.
I think I'm sworn to secrecy on those.
Ah.
Uh, the one thing I am trying to find, I can't find it, is I do have a video. I had a video of us playing at our junior prom
Oh,
in
that's awesome.
high school, playing Jane's Addiction covers and Nirvana covers. Uh,
I thought you were gonna say like KO dot. That would be really funny. I'm
no.
trying to imagine like KO dot like marathon played at a prom.
Oh
Like
God,
it's like it's like quiet and
it
like
would.
just like and then it just gets loud and like
That would be amazing. That would have been great if that's what we actually did. But no, this is before we actually were actively writing a lot of our own stuff. So
okay.
this was in the cover band days.
I would love to see a bunch of high schoolers react to Choirs of the Eye live.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd be curious to see what would actually happen. Well, we did the. I mean, I know I'm dragging on here, but Toby did his residency at the Stone a few years ago.
Oh,
And so he did. I don't know how he survived it because it was 6 straight days with 2 shows a night. But I
yeah.
was fortunate that we did two Maudlin of the Well reunion shows, and we did. I got to play at the Choirs of the Eye show, so I got to play the material again, which was pretty fun. So
God, I hope you do that again because I would love to see that live.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope so. If I told Toby I have these recurring nightmares. Where the nightmare is I get up on stage. We're doing it's usually either a K-Dot or a Maudlin of the Well reunion show, and I forget I never practiced it, so I don't know how to play anything, and we're about to go on stage. So that's my recurring nightmare. So I think I need to do them again just to make sure that I prove the nightmare wrong.
Yeah, I have nightmares about that too. Like I can't play my music anymore. It's like scary. So it just forces me to practice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anytime, anytime. So yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, let me know when it's posted and I'll share and stuff.
All right, cool. All
All
right,
right.
all
Well,
right.
you have a good evening.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.